Hello, Outposters. How are you doing today? I got a little special treat for you here. I've got with me Brad Goodman, and he is working on his own movie that he's funding through Indiegogo, and it's called Transmission. Have I got that right?
That's right.
All right, so I put it up on the
Right.
screen here for everyone to see, and I will put the link down here. But there is a small little YouTube, I would say maybe a sizzle reel. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, a couple minute pitch video, basically.
So tell everybody about the movie and what is the story and what you're trying to accomplish on this.
Well, it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi horror story. The last survivors on Earth are trapped in the desert, dying of thirst, and one of them goes out in the desert in search of water and encounters an alien ship and combines with an alien DNA. And ironically, it's the thing that provides for survival for everyone. It's not how they intended to survive. It's the idea of life finds a way, and the human race goes through a new next level of evolution through combining with this alien DNA. Of course, to provide some drama within the story, there has to be an antagonist, and a rival DNA piggybacks along with this alien DNA and starts to infect others within the group, and a fight breaks out to dominate and take over. What we're trying to accomplish something larger than just making one film, though. The production company, I've got several scripts, and we'd like to see if we could get some momentum with this project and have it carry through on to producing other projects.
Sure. Do you think that I mean I was intrigued. Well, one, I like sci-fi, that kind of thing. I feel bad for these people. It's like it's already post-apocalyptic. There's already no water, and we're getting invaded by aliens. What a day! But this is just not my week. But it sounds intriguing, I mean, is this just something you? Well, let me ask you, what's your history? What is your? I mean, have you made stuff in the past? Is there things that you worked on in the past, and what made you want to do your own thing, breaking away from what I would say traditional Hollywood?
Well, yeah, I have a background in theater, professional theater, as well as in independent film as an actor. And I also directed a couple of independent horror pictures a few years back. And so well, it's a bit of a complicated story, but directed a couple of independent horror pictures, and then became involved in developing scripts for other projects that ultimately didn't necessarily pan out. But I've come close to getting some projects produced, and having it always fall through for one reason or another, almost getting produced, but, back to the drawing board several times, decided to go the Indiegogo route and see if we could at least get the funding to do a proof of concept for this picture, so that we could show with a smaller version of the film just what we could accomplish with limited resources, create something really visually exciting and interesting, and hopefully take the momentum we'd get from that to make the feature.
Well, certainly, I mean, with today's technology, it really isn't that hard to get something that looks pretty impressive. I've seen the numerous Star Wars fan films and things like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, how they do this. So I have no doubt if you have just a little bit of extra, some real sets and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of all kinds of cinema, including silent film. And that's one of the emphasis I want to make with our proof of concept. I've already laid out all the storyboards, but I'm going to have it play like a silent film, with the action being able to be carried without dialogue by and large for this proof of concept. I think
like Wall-E, the beginning of Wall-E.
right. Well, like a lot of films, you know, I mean, some of the best sequences in many films, not just sci-fi, are it's visual storytelling, and if you can show, I think, with maybe say our proof of concept might be a 5-minute film, but have it be extremely strong and really gripping and very visually interesting. I think we can make a lot of headway with something like that.
So you're with Indiegogo, you're trying to create this proof of concept, which you say is going to run about, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. Do you have a full story fleshed out that you really want to do, or is this, are you just, let's just get to this stage and we'll worry about that later?
No, I've developed, I talk about it a little bit in the pitch video. I spent 3 years with my writing partner, Jim Southers, developing a feature-length script. So we've got a 93-page script, you know, that we've really worked out. And we'd like to, it would be nice if we could shoot that. But, you know, I've got some connections with people that can get this proof of concept in front of some pretty big names. And so that's the aim, is to, you know, to really focus on making that 5-10 minute proof of concept really sing, so that, you know, but yeah, and indeed we do have a feature-length script, and it's really worked out, and I'm very excited about it. But what we've done for the proof of concept is to take a piece of it here, take a piece of it in the middle, take a piece of it at the end, and put it all together so that it has a through line in the story, so that you can get the gist of the whole scope of the thing, more or less, or at least a tease on, make people want to see more.
Have you worked with Indiegogo before, or have you had any experience with it? I know that some stuff has come out of it, but I love the concept of crowdfunding a movie or anything. How's it been so far?
Well, it's 2 weeks into the campaign, and it's going slowly, but I find, you know, and by the way, I have no previous experience. This is the first time I've worked with Indiegogo, but you know, I think it's a great concept. I think I'm finding out that I really need to put a lot more work into marketing with it. Hopefully we'll get some interest, what we're doing here with you today, Mark. But you know, I think really the important thing is, when you're doing a crowdfunding project like this, is to reach out to as many people as you can and just ask them to be a part of it, help make the project happen, you know, and we're getting some response.
Had you tried going the standard route before you did this? I mean, had you tried pitching it to various studio houses and things like that, or was this always the plan to do it yourself?
Yeah, I've had people say that they could. I don't have the connections to do that at studio houses per se. I find in this day and age, it's really hard to get, you know, I mean, if you look back at the history of, you know, the stories we hear about, somebody like Sylvester Stallone wrote a script and got it right to the studio, and then immediately was able to make demands. They liked it so much. You can't, everybody's got a script these days, and most of them aren't worth looking at. And I think the studios have figured that out. And it's hard to get people to look at your material because there's a big filter out there. So again, I think coming to that conclusion, we came up with the idea that maybe the best thing to do would be a proof of concept. So we could create something, again, really visually exciting and stimulating and intriguing that would be a great calling card for the feature script.
That's well, and it sounds interesting. I'll definitely I'm, you know, full disclosure, I'm going to throw a few bucks into it. I don't have a ton, obviously, but what I want to, and I want to tell our audience here, the reason why I wanted to do this interview and why I wanted to talk to you is because I really like the idea of independent frontier filmmakers, just going out there and doing it and making it happen and trying to bypass a system that I feel is stagnated. They can throw anything into a computer that they want, and they can put some beautiful visuals on the screen, and I'm bored, because you can't, like when you do Star Wars in 1977, they'd never done anything like that before, and I still find that more breathtaking in a lot of ways than the new stuff that they put on there, where it's just so much garbage on the screen, and they forget I do need a plot, I do need to care about the people. And I don't see enough of that anymore. You either get these insane IPs that are redone, or you get really small movies that are hard to find. And so I wanted to encourage you in this case, but anybody who wants to try to get a indie movie out there, they want to do something a little bit bigger and grander than just some indie, like like Garden State or something that's really weepy and annoying. Somebody wants to do something that kind of harkens back to what we grew up with back in the 80s. And so I'd like you to talk about your passion behind it, what's your history with movies, and what are you kind of on the same page as where I am?
Oh, I really am. I'm particularly annoyed at a lot of the big blockbuster, let's say the comic book type movies that they have out today. Everything's CGI and boring as hell. It's like a video game. Pre-pandemic, the idea was to get as many 13-year-old boys to see it 3-4 times as they could. That's their target audience. But the CGI and the effects being the focus of the film instead of plot, character, relationship, story. So I'm bored with a lot of what the studios are doing. There's always good cinema.
Sure.
And personally, I like film from all different eras. I watch a lot of foreign film. I watch a lot of classic films, silent film, all that kind of stuff. And if you're an aspiring filmmaker and you want to make films, there's so much out there today. I mean, that's one of the beauties of technology in the world we live in, is the availability of all these films, like from Kurosawa to Chaplin to just whatever. I mean, and you can, if you're alive and awake, any and everything can be an inspiration to you, and what stuff that you can steal and use in your own film. And I'm working on that kind of stuff every day, watching all kinds of movies and taking mental notes constantly.
Oh, good artists borrow, great artists steal, right? So is that the old saying?
There's no greater tribute than to thieve from somebody's work. Yeah.
Well, I do think that there was kind of a golden age that ended I almost say it ended with Jurassic Park maybe, but it ended, peaked in the 80s, where the studios were willing to put money into big budget risks. A Ghostbusters or a Star Wars or an Indiana, all of these were not things that you would have thought would have made money or would have been, they weren't previous IPs. They may have been borrowed from previous genres, but certainly not the way we saw them then. And I felt like they were always trying new things. I mean, Back to the Future is bizarre if you really think about it, but it's great. And I don't see, everything feels so safe now. So I mean, I see you coming out and saying, I'm going to make my own thing. And I'm hoping it's not safe. I think the streaming has put out a lot of stuff that isn't quite as, they'll do some interesting things, HBO Max and stuff like that. But I don't know, I miss it in the cinemas.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to be getting back to the theaters. That's one thing I really have missed during the pandemic here, is going and, being a part of an audience and being in the theater. But I think, what part of the world are you inhabiting?
I'm in the Midwest, and actually we went last night. It's funny you should say that. It was the first time that the entire family, the ones that haven't moved out at this point because I'm getting older, we all went and saw A Quiet Place 2.
Oh, that's the one I want to see. How was it?
It's good. It lacks the novelty of the first one a little bit, but
Right.
it still manages to keep the suspense, and the story is very, it's simple, and in a good way. It doesn't get, bogged down in a lot of, it's one that I enjoy because it follows what you were saying, that not a lot of dialogue in it, because there
Yeah,
can't
right.
be.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, no, I've heard some pretty good reviews of it, and it sounds like it's worth seeing in a theater as a part of an audience. I
It
remember
is.
seeing the first one. That was one of the great things. I've never, prior to that movie, I can't recall ever having been in the theater where it was so quiet so much of the time, because that's the basis of the film, was the characters were having to be hushed, be quiet, and the audience was right there along with them. There wasn't a lot of, sound design. There wasn't a lot of score, except when the crap hit the fan.
It was so quiet until it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm hoping I'll get to see that. I might go tomorrow and watch that film. It sounds like it's
It was a fun night at the movies. Was it superlative? I mean, I thought it was good. And again, I've seen so many, but I'm doing like you said. I'm going back and I'm trying to find older movies that I've never seen. Knock them off my bucket list finally.
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of that lately. I mean, and being cooped up, it was a perfect time for it. So I've done a ton of that. I watch at least 5 or 6 movies a week. I know that's, for some people, that's not a lot, but it adds up.
Oh, it does. So tell. Is there anything else you want to tell the folks about this movie? Get them to start backing you.
Well, if you back me on this movie, you'll never regret it. I'm going to make something that's really fun, and I think you'd be very, very happy to have helped this project get off the ground. I've got some really exciting ideas for shooting and cutting, sound design, score, and I would just say, if you guys like cinema, if you like sci-fi, if you like horror, there's going to be something there for you to really
all
like.
right. So we will put that out there. We will have a link not only down in the description below on the YouTube, but will also be on lastmovieoutpost.com, and you can find the links and everything there. Comment. I'm sure Brad will read all the comments. You better not do that.
Why not?
I don't want to crush your spirit so quickly. Internet comments. That's where you find joy, But no, we'll have that down there, and the links, and we'll check back with you maybe when you actually have a trailer or something you want to show. You premiere it right here. We'll be here for you.
Sounds great. I really appreciate it, Mark. Very much.
And thank you very much for taking time out on a Saturday morning, and we'll like I said, we'll get you going up here, and we'll check it out. So thanks for coming. Remember, lastmovieoutpost.com. Like, share, subscribe. And I want you to go over to the Indiegogo link. The film is called Transmission, or at least currently it's called Transmission. And he's got a $40,000 goal, and it's clearly going slowly, but let's see if we can help him out.
Super. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for coming, and we'll hopefully see you again in the future.
You bet, Mark.